The Central Club.
Let's go back a bit then to what was your time like in Long Lartin? If you've got any experiences of, because when you moved, you were moved on, wasn't you? Because of trying to get the information out there, trying to get free. I'm sure like they tried banning journalists and stuff and they moved you away. They made it hard for you, didn't they?
Yes.
Have you got any stories for us of your time in prison?
Oh yeah, I got a number of stories, before and after prison. When I was in Long Lartin and I was studying law, I managed to get a TV documentary started to be made by the BBC, the Week In, Week Out team. Karen Voicey and Phil Parry was involved. And they come up to see me, and all of a sudden, they stopped. The prison officers stopped them from coming in, saying, "You've got to sign this disclaimer to say you won't talk about Mr. O'Brien's case." And I said, "Well, that defeats the object. We're journalists. We're trying to clear their names. There was no legal aid available, so it was down to journalists to help me. You know what I mean? That was the only option I had." So, in a nutshell, they banned the journalists from seeing me, so I took a judicial review against the number one governor of Long Lartin, Mr. Mullins. I won't forget his name in a hurry. And the Home Secretary at the time was Michael Howard. So I took that to the High Court, and they said I did have a right to have access to journalists, and they should be, I can be interviewed. So I thought, that's great. But then there was a change of government. The Labour government got in, because I was under the Tory government, but the Labour government got in, and Jack Straw appealed against it. Sadly, he won in the appeal court. They said, no, Mr. O'Brien's got no rights. He loses all his civil liberties when he's in prison. So I thought, okay, we'll go to the House of Lords. So I took it to the House of Lords. And I was out on bail at the time. And I was in the pub having a drink when the news come through that 5 law lords had ruled in my favour, and I made a historic legal ruling that journalists should be allowed to visit prisoners. And although I was already out, it was for the boys which were left behind. Those other innocent people. I could have walked away. I didn't have to. I was talking to the journalist anyway. I was free. But I wasn't going to leave it because I knew I was right. So, yes. But for my troubles, when I was in prison, I was shipped 300 miles away from my family when I ended up in Frankland prison, in Newcastle, all because I dared to challenge the system.
What was Frankland like?
That was another prison and a half. That was like Long Lartin. There was a lot of stabbings there. There was a couple of killings there. The racism is what I noticed from the prison officers. It was really bad.
Yeah.
It was really bad, yes. A friend of mine, Barrington Halstead, he was wrongly convicted of cocaine. You know what I mean? He was dealing
what
cannabis.
do you mean wrongly convicted? Because,
he said to me he was set up by the police, and what I seen.
Before I go on though, Mike, do you think because you was innocent, do you think maybe you might have seen yourself thinking everyone was innocent? Whoever, because everyone, you hear that everyone's innocent in prison. They all say that. Do you ever feel like? Do you have some sort of soft spot for some of these people?
No. I always went on evidence.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I always wanted to see the depositions and everything
Fair
before.
Enough.
You know what I mean? Because there was people who tried to pull the wool over my eyes. I'll give you an example. You might remember Gabrielle, the singer.
Yeah.
Right. Well, her boyfriend got done for murder. I was in prison with him.
Okay.
He tried to convince me that he was innocent. When I looked at the depositions and all that, he was banged to rights. So I told him straight, you know what I mean? Do your 30 years, mate. You know what I mean? Crack on. You know what I mean? Because that's what he got. And he deserved everything he got. He chopped somebody's head off. And, he was trying to tell me he was innocent. I'm like, wow. And there were people like this who try and pull the wool over your eyes. But I wasn't no fool. You know what I mean? I was taught by the best. The Birmingham 6, the Guildford 4. These are the people I used to hang around with. These are the ones who helped me. You know what I mean? The solicitors I bothered was like Gareth Pierce, who's one of the most renowned solicitors this country has ever seen. She's overturned 42 convictions, wrongful convictions. That's amazing. So these are the people I got advice from and everything, and bothered with. So my gut instinct wasn't wrong. You know what I mean? And yeah, of course people, some people are going to tell you they're innocent and, because they can't cope with what has happened. But yeah, that was a fact.